Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Helena Bowles, and I want to thank you all for meeting with me today. How many of you came to work worried that you were going to get hurt today? Well, that is a concern for many people across the country today. I'm here to discuss a serious problem in healthcare, work-related musculoskeletal disorders, specifically those experienced by sonographers. Musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs for short, are injuries and conditions that affect the muscles, ligaments, tendons, nerves, and other soft tissues of the musculoskeletal system. Common examples of MSDs include muscle sprains, carpal tunnel syndrome, herniated disc of the spine, and tendinitis. Work-related MSDs are MSDs that are caused by actions done while you're working at your job. Things like repetitive movements, awkward positions, and exerting too much force are some of the risk factors of developing MSDs. According to OSHA, out of all workplace injuries and illnesses that occur, 33% of them are MSDs. And these injuries hurt for both the employees and the employers. For every dollar spent in healthcare costs, the employer pays another $5 in hidden costs. For example, the expenses of hiring temporary replacements while the employee is injured, and the increased insurance rates. Employers are motivated to reduce the number of MSDs happening to their employees. Now, multiple surveys and studies have been done about the occurrence of MSDs among sonographers. According to a survey, 90% of sonographers experience some kind of pain from an MSD. On average, sonographers begin having pains after only 5 years of working in the field. Sadly, 20% of sonographers experience a musculoskeletal disorder that ends up ending their career. Among these grim statistics, there's still hope. MSDs can be prevented. Measures have been taken to address this problem and reduce MSD risk factors. Pre-work stretching programs have been used because stretching can increase muscle flexibility. The downside is that studies show that stretching programs alone do not actually reduce the occurrence of MSDs. Job rotation is another option, which involves the sonographer performing different types of exams instead of doing the same ones back to back to back. This is done to change up what groups of muscles are being used as the sonographer tries to reach for the body parts being examined. This approach is ineffective because the types of exams that the facility needs to do cannot always be predicted. Even if a sonographer does an exam on a different body part, some of the same muscles are going to be used anyway. And a big approach to reducing MSDs among sonographers is using ergonomic equipment. This choice seemed promising. The equipment and furniture at healthcare facilities today are more adjustable and ergonomic than ever before, but sonographers are still working in pain. A study by the Society of Diagnostic Medical Sonographers found a 6% increase in sonographers with MSDs from 1997 to 2009. A new focus is needed now to best address this issue. Healthcare facilities must expand training and education for sonographers. This does not mean that sonographers are incompetent or unable to do their jobs. They just need to be better informed and supported. In the study mentioned earlier by the Society of Diagnostic Medical Sonographers, only 54% of sonographers said that they were shown how to use all the features of their facility's equipment. This change in training is necessary to ensure that every sonographer is given the information needed to work safely. The goal is to create a culture of safety in which each employee is empowered to and feels responsible for working safely. We can do this by first stressing that safety of the sonographer is more important than completing exams quickly. A key component of this plan is to expand initial and ongoing training on how to fully utilize a facility's specific equipment. One option is to have weekly safety meetings to keep the conversation about safety going. Encourage sonographers to take the time needed to adjust equipment and the patient's positions to reduce muscle strains. Another key to this proposition is that employers ensure there is no backlash or intimidation against employees when they report injuries. A culture of safety allows for honest record keeping when injuries happen. So what makes this plan feasible? To save on the labor costs of implementation, the facility can utilize existing training or risk management employees to lead the training. Also, safety meetings do not need to be long or complicated to be effective. 15 to 20 minutes each week could be enough to keep safe working techniques fresh in the employees' minds. Finding content to share during the meetings is easy too. OSHA provides plenty of free job-specific information on their website. See the link below the picture. Posters and signage can be affordably placed throughout the department too, as reminders to work safely and how to avoid MSD risk factors. Sonographers do not have to keep working with high risk of injury. Let us move forward by arming sonographers with knowledge and the support of a culture of safety. We can provide continued instruction on postures and techniques that avoid risk of musculoskeletal disorders. We can encourage sonographers to take adequate rest breaks before fatigue becomes injury. Doing all these things will reduce risk factors and thus reduce the number of sonographers that are working in pain. And now, my reference pages, page 1, and references, page 2. I thank you all. Have a good evening.